everybody. Hope everyone's having a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where you are.
Nice cock.
Nice cock. Thanks. There's no cocks in this game.
There's
I'm
no
so
cock
sorry.
here.
Yeah, there's no cocks here. It's a lesbian game. I'm
Thumbs
so
up.
sorry. You rolled poorly for Pride Month. I'm so sorry. But welcome. Today I know we said we were gonna do Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog today, but I lied.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Right. Lie.
So instead,
My sin is lying.
what?
My sin is lying.
Yeah, that's my sin. I lie. But anyway, so we are gonna be playing Cage of Roses as like a one-off. All asexuals can do is eat hot chip and lie. It is true. It's true. It's me and Matcha are shaking hands. We do lie and do like hot chip. But Nugget, welcome in. Thank you for being first. Welcome in Dawn. Welcome in Mon. So this is Cage of Roses. I actually received this copy from the publisher, which I don't know the name of it off the top of my head.
2.5 Studios.
Yeah, 2.5 Studios. So this is provided to me. I was extremely late in opening the game, but it's Pride Month, so I think I should be forgiven for that crime. But we're just gonna like play this for today because it's Pride Month, and all of us are gay.
Woohoo!
That's not a lie.
Yep.
All of us are LGBT plus.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So hi everybody. My name is Nur. I'm asexual.
Hi, my name is Tintin Arcade. I'm bisexual, and I played this game. Thumbs up.
Hello, I'm Matcha. I fall under the non-binary spectrum, and I am asexual and pan-romantic.
I thought you were about to say I file my taxes. I'm like, well, I think we all
I
do
hope
that
I
much.
did. If you're not filing your taxes by Pride Month, I think there is no extension that can save you there.
Yeah, there isn't, I think.
No.
My name is Moji, and girl pretty.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm Brevi, and I also think girl pretty because I'm gay as fuck.
I also sometimes think girls pretty. So, yeah. Let's get started. Who wants to be Henny?
Oh.
We're getting right into it.
Faster, Micah, faster! You have to keep moving or else... Oh god, they're gaining on us!
Micah ran through the forest as quickly as her legs would carry her, which, given how exhausted she felt, was not very. She tried to obey Henny's orders, fearful of both letting her friend down and of the shadowy figures who pursued them, but her body refused to listen. Her legs felt numb and insensible, as unfeeling as marble but far, far weaker. It was through nothing save sheer force of will that she was able to keep going, for all her strength had already abandoned her. Though Micah continued to run, staggering blindly through the fog, she feared it was already a lost cause. She was but a young woman, slender, and, while not so very short, quite unaccustomed to exerting herself. She was not like Henny, who had spent her days on her hands and knees, polishing floors and blackening fireplaces. Micah's fingers were white as ivory, while Henny's were red raw through demeaning, demanding of physical labor. Micah's lungs, meanwhile, were straining from the agonizing effort of running, just like me. Never before had she known that the act of merely existing could be so exhausting.
Micah, please, you need to hurry. Quickly, Micah.
Henny reached back to take hold of Micah's hand, her coarse, short fingernails digging into Micah's palm. Henny was gripping so tightly it hurt, but Micah knew, should she lag behind, she would find herself in far greater pain than this. Micah recalled how her father had looked back in their carriage, his eyes wide and his face unusually pale. Micah had never seen her father look so scared before. He was a tall, imposing figure of a man, dashing even in his early 50s, who was accustomed to issuing orders, not receiving them. Micah had thought her father immovable, much like the oak tree which shielded her family's mausoleum, a tree which had stood there longer than the crypt itself. To Micah, her father had seemed like a force of nature, one which was impossible to argue with or get the better of. This superstition had been turned on its head earlier that night, however, in a mere handful of minutes. For all his bluster, Micah's father was only human. He was made of flesh and blood, just like Micah, and when cut, he bled. He had bled a lot, in fact, all over the plush, upholstered seats of their carriage and into the floor. His fine clothes had been stained black with the stuff. The air had stunk of it, sharp and metallic. Micah could smell her father's blood on her even now, as she and Henny raced through the forest. She couldn't forget it, however much she wished to. Oh, if only the events of that night had been nothing more than a bad dream. Micah had wished that the fog would clear and she would wake, her eyelids fluttering, to discover herself sitting once more in bed, in her home, the room flooded with pale sunlight.
Micah!
Micah's surroundings did not shift. The trees continued to press in about her though they meant to eat her alive. Their shadowy pursuers were beginning to close in on them. Micah knew she had no hope of outrunning them. She was flagging, her heart hammering at the base of her throat. What would happen when? Micah was not so optimistic to hope for an if they caught her. You don't know what's for us. Well, what would they do to Henny? The thought was almost more than Micah could bear. It had been bad enough to lose her parents, but to lose Henny too? Why, she had done nothing wrong. Unlike Micah, Henny was no lady. She was just a maid, and she was only being targeted because of her relationship to Micah and her family. Had Henny been traveling alone, she would have passed through the forest quite unscathed. It wasn't as though Henny had any valuables upon her person that were worth the effort of pilfering. Wants to be Micah. One of the lesbians.
Henny.
Micah appeared to her made between sharp gasps of air, which pierced her lungs as keenly as knitting needles.
Please, let go. Leave me be. I'm just slowing you down.
I don't care! I'm not leaving you behind!
But...
There aren't any buts! I told you, I won't leave you! Now let's keep running!
Micah wanted to run. Really, she did, but her body had begun to give in. Her heart might have been pumping fit to burst at the base of her throat, but her legs were weak despite the excess blood which filled her. Oh, blood? Her hands and Henny's felt cold and clammy. Oh. She had exhausted all of her energy simply in escaping from the carriage where her parents' bodies lay. Now she would die, only a few hundred paces away from their final resting place. Would her mutilated carcass be discovered in a days hence and taken back to her family's home? Would she and her parents be embalmed and sealed away within their mausoleum? Micah did not much like this thought. Her family's mausoleum was a terrifying place full of somber stone angels and spiderwebs. It was quiet, being situated among tall trees, but its quietude was not at all relaxing. Its quiet was the deep, fathomless silence of death. Micah did not want to die. She knew not how she would continue to live on, with both her parents slaughtered before her very eyes, but she did not want to succumb as they had, in this forest full of fog. She wanted to go on living, for her sake and for Henny's, though not necessarily for Walter's. Yeah, fuck Walter.
God, they're getting closer! We need to keep running. Come on, Micah!
But like the guttering flame of a candle, the last of her energy had been expended. Micah's foot caught in a tangled tree root, which jutted from the ground like a bear trap as she fell. Her hand, which was slick with sweat, slipped free from Henny's. She reached out, searching her loyal maid through the fog, but to little avail.
Micah!
Henny's voice echoed in Micah's ears, shrill and frantic. Micah's heart guttered in her chest, hard, as though meaning to stop altogether, but it did little good. Her head smacked against the ground with a dull, anticlimactic thud. Bonk. Micah's teeth bit against her tongue. She tasted copper. Her vision swam.
Micah! Oh God! Micah, get up! Please! Get the fuck up!
And then they died, and then everything went black.
The end.
The end.
Happy
Act
Pride.
1. Happy Pride.
What?
Micah was greeted upon waking by a dull, crushing pain that gripped her skull like a vice. Happy pride. A brackish taste akin to pond water filled her mouth, and with one hand she clasped to her head, she coughed.
She knows what pond water tastes like?
Damn. But I guess she does. Micah's body shuddered and her lungs burned. It took a minute before her coughing fit subsided, but once it did, Micah began to glance uneasily around her surroundings. She hoped that her immediate surroundings might shed some light on her predicament, but her hopes were in vain. Micah had no idea where she was. The floor upon which she was sitting, but why she was sitting on the floor of all places, was made of stone, which felt hard and cold and uncompromising. The walls, too, were made of stone, as was the ceiling, which felt very far away. A wooden cot was pushed up close against one of the walls, but was so steeped in shadows Micah could scarcely make it out. There was a chamber pot lying by the cot, which she did not care to examine too closely, but its rims and sides were stained with caked-on filth.
Happy Pride!
Happy Pride! A truly unpleasant odor exuded from the chamber pot, which made Micah's eyes stink. Happy Pride! It was fortunate she had no immediate desire to relieve herself, for she had no wish to use this commode. A quick examination of the room, though really it was more like a cell, showed Micah that, save for the cot and the chamber pot, it was utterly desolate. There was no other furniture to be seen, no shelves, nor cupboards, not even a proper bed. There was no mirror either. Micah could not see herself, or perhaps this was a blessing in disguise. Micah doubted she would be at her best given she was in so much pain, and she was so very exhausted. She was so cold she could feel goosebumps rippling across her flesh, and her teeth were chattering badly. Micah wound her arms around her middle and shivered sadly. It was not only the chamber pot that stunk. The very air itself was rank, heavy with the stench of unwashed bodies and general decay. This room, no, she was sure this was a cell, reeked of death. How had she come to such a place? What had happened to her? Micah could remember sitting alongside her mother and father in their carriage as it bore them through the forest, and then... There, at this pivotal moment, her memories failed her. Micah could recall nothing else. Oh, amnesia? Oh, had her parents been there, they would have given her instructions. They always seemed to know what Micah ought to be doing at any given time. They were not there, and neither was Henny. Micah was all alone. Henny had been with her, Micah was certain, before. Before what? Why could she not remember anything? Oh, Micah thought sorrowfully, if only she was made of stone, then perhaps her head would not hurt so much. She really did feel like her skull might explode, not from the pain, though the pain still remained, but from the raw, unbridled fear. Micah had often dreamt of stealing away from her parents' home to embark upon a brand new life, unfettered by expectations, but she had never wished for this. Oh my god, when will somebody have dialogue? Tears began to trickle down Micah's cheeks in crystalline droplets. These scored tracks in the dirt which caked her cheeks and dropped one by one to the floor. Her head bowed, figure splayed against the stones. Micah sobbed and she sobbed until...
What's going on?
Thank God, a soft voice spoke from amongst the teeming shadows. Micah could not see the speaker. She could scarcely see at all, given the darkness and now her own tears, but she recognized its familiar cadences. The voice belonged to Henny. Micah's dear friend was here too, in the stone cell which smelt of death. And though Micah feared for Henny, she could feel relief bubbling up inside of her.
This was the song that made me realize this is the Please Be Happy composer.
Oh yeah, there's the Please Be Happy composer, by the way, guys.
Good shit.
Yeah. She was not alone after all.
Henny?
Oh, fuck.
Oh, that's me. That's your name. You're right. I'm glad you remember something, Henny.
Micah crawled forth on her hands and knees, being too exhausted to stand, and stared into the shadows.
Henny, are you sure you remember your name?
Micah?
No, that's mine, Henny.
A shaft of moonlight spilled through the singular barred window, whom straightened high into the wall of their cell, and finally Micah was afforded the view of her maid. Though christened Henriette, Micah had always called her beloved maid Henny. It seemed a more appropriate name for so cheery a woman, for Henny, come rain or shine, was rarely seen without a smile, except for right now. Henny was not smiling now, however, yes. Correct. She was sitting upon the wooden cot which Micah had first spied, her head bent. Henny's face looked woefully weary. It had lost much of its usual pinkness. Her apron, once white, was now stained and sullied with dirt. Henny's shoes had been black and sensible, but now they were mirrored in filth, and her socks were rucked up about her ankles. Henny's hands, which she held at her front, were trembling like those of a woman thrice her age. She looked an awful sight, but Micah knew she could hardly have been any better herself. Henny's hair may have been a mess, but at least she kept it short. There is not so very much of Henny's dark tresses to be worked with into a state of disorder. Micah's own hair, however, was very long and curly, though she had worn it in something. She could now feel it stragglingly loose around her shoulders. The back of her neck prickled, either from the cold or from the dislodged hairpin or two. Perhaps it was why Henny stared at Micah so, when she had regained her own sense of equilibrium, as though she had seen a ghost.
My God! Mike! Wait, is that my name?
It's mine, Henny.
Henny looked so alarmed, Micah felt almost ashamed. She didn't even know her name. Micah was no stranger to shame. She felt it frequently, in fact, when she was with her mother, but it rarely raised its ugly head in Henny's presence. Since Micah's girlhood, Henny had been her one staunch, steadfast companion. She was the only person Micah knew who took Micah for who she was, rather than wishing, often aloud to her face, that she could be more appreciative, more amenable, more effusive, more like a lady and less like herself. Henny didn't want Micah to be more. She really wanted Micah to be Micah. Did that mean, then, that Micah did not look like Micah in that moment? But who else did she resemble if not herself? What's her name? What had happened to her? Who is she?
Are you alright, Micah? Oh, look at your poor face.
Henny rose from her wooden cot, which creaked, and crouched before her friend. Reaching out, still shaking, she cupped Micah's cheeks with her fingers and said,
You're bleeding!
I am?
Yes, you got a nasty cut beneath your right eye. It looks like a sty, and your cheek.
Oh no.
Henny sucked in a breath, her expression grim.
It's all banged up, and you're positively black and blue!
Oh, I hadn't realized. I'm sorry, Henny. I think that's your name, right?
What?
Henny, who had procured a handkerchief from her skirt pocket, it unfortunately wasn't dirty, paused in her dabbing at Micah's face to look at her in bemusement.
Why are you apologizing to me, you daft goose? You've done nothing to feel sorry for.
A goose? I don't know. I'm just...
A goose!
No, I'm not a goose. I'm sorry for making you worry, I suppose.
Oh, think not of it. It's my
Oh,
job to worry about
oh.
you. I'm your maid, remember?
Well, of course, I remember that much. My thoughts might be in a state of disarray for the present, but I would never forget you. I also feel like I should be British, but you know.
I have this feeling.
Hold on, let me fix my accent. You're much more than my maid, Henny. You're my friend, too. My dearest friend.
And I could say the very same about you. That's why it hurts seeing you in such a frightful state.
Oh, do I look so very bad?
Well...
What? Really?
Henny scanned Micah's face, her brown eyes now bright with mischief.
That depends on how honest you want to be with me.
Oh dear. Do I look as bad as all that?
You certainly looked better. Your face is all banged up as a windfall apple.
Not the apple!
Micah shook her head in wonderment.
I only hope that the apple isn't riddled with worms.
I don't think you have anything to worry about on that score, at least.
Why did you make that noise, honey? Well, that's a relief, I suppose. Things could always be worse.
Right you are. That's the spirit. You're still alive and so am I, and we're together. That ought to count for something. Although...
Penny finished wiping up the worst of the congealed blood and muck from Micah's cheek, then drew back, her soiled handkerchief gripped tight in her hand. Her expression newly dour, she said after a moment's pause.
We have to give that narrator a break.
We really do.
Oh my god.
I am afraid that your parents mightn't have been so fortunate. God damn it, I forgot.
What did you just say?
Micah's heart,
Mightn't.
Ah, that's what I thought it was.
Micah's heart leapt in her chest at this somber announcement.
What happened to them, Henny? Do you know what's going on?
You don't?
I have protagonist amnesia, I'm sorry.
Oh
I
no.
recall that we were traveling to Osberg to visit my fiance. Sorry. But- Sorry, that's been happening recently. But as for how we came here,
Micah closed her eyes and hoped remembering something, but again, nothing came. Her mind remained stubbornly blank, as featureless as a snowy field, all Flora blanketed in untrammeled whiteness.
I'm afraid I cannot remember.
Not a single thing?
Nothing.
I see.
And Henny grit her teeth together for a few moments, her eyes dark. She seemed to be weighing up her words, as the baker might measure out flour and sugar before speaking.
That's not such a surprise, I suppose. You hit your head pretty hard back there. It might be for the best that you can't remember all the gory details. I wish I could figure out what happened myself, but...
Henny's voice trailed away as awkwardly she gripped the handkerchief. The handkerchief had been the only clean thing in Micah and Henny's cell, and now it too was ruined, streaked with brown and red. How deep was the cut that Mike had sustained, and how much had bled? This too remained a mystery. Micah did not know. Head empty. There seemed much, all of a sudden, she was ignorant of. She felt so very unworldly. She might have as well been a little girl again, enthused after she had successfully stolen the key to her family's mausoleum. Micah had not known as she stood in the chill entrance of the mausoleum that she was about to lower herself into a subterranean world of death and decay, though part of her had wondered.
Henny?
Micah took Henny's hand in her own, her crackled fingernails digging into her skin.
What happened? Tell me, please. I want to know. And we need to give that narrator a break.
Yes, I thought you might. We do need to give that narrator a break. That does make things a mite complicated, though. I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Just promise you won't take against me for what I am about to tell you. I've gone through a lot of tonight already, and that will be the straw to break the camel's back. There's a camel in here.
Oh.
Whoa.
Oh, all right. Well, Henny, please, you should know that that is a trivial concern. The camel, and also that I would be mean to you. I'm fully aware that none of this is your fault. You've only ever sought to protect me. I have no better friend than you, not in all the world.
And it's precisely because I want to protect you that I don't want to go into all this. I know it'll upset you, oh Christ! It upsets me too. There's an upsetting situation all around. It's rotten, really, what people are capable of, but...
Henny paused. She sucked in a breath. Then in a calmer tone, she said,
Just how much do you want to know?
How much is there to know?
That 94 proof promise
Uh-oh.
discussed.
Oh,
Oh,
where did you get that?
Oh, don't worry about it. I always remember remember tonight I made quite the impression. Horrible things always do, like this rum.
She
I have a
even
drink
remembered.
too. I might need it.
Oh, don't worry about it. I'm using it on the kerchief.
Oh! Oh! Alright, well, are things truly that dire?
They're pretty bad, yeah.
Oh!
Whoa! Revelation.
Give me the Spark Notes version then. I've no need to hear
What
everything.
the hell's a spark notes?
I don't know, it just came to me in a dream!
Right you are.
Penny bowed her head in acquiescence, her face half swallowed by the shadows. The beam of light which had penetrated their drab cell had long since been extinguished, the moon obscured beneath the rolling fog. It was so cold in their cell Micah could not cease her shivers. Even her teeth felt cold, like shards of ice implanted into her gums. Penny's proximity served as something of a comfort, but it could not rid Micah of her trepidation. She knew, once Henny relayed the past events to her, her life would no longer be the same. Everything would change. It was changing already, like she's in a cell. So quickly that Micah hardly had a chance to gather her bearings. She felt lost, adrift, hopelessly afraid.
I am sorry to tell you this, Micah, but during our travels, the carriage... It was attacked by bandits, and a weird villainess that punched the couch...
What?
punched it.
The couch cushion punching villainess? I've heard
What?
rumors about her.
Yes.
No!
Yes, they came creeping out from the fog like... I don't know. Monsters from a children's story maybe, but much scarier. They had knives. We were in Britain after all.
Oh no!
They waylaid the carriage and then stormed it. They drew out their daggers and threatened your father, and when he refused to comply, well,
Penny's expression twisted.
they stabbed him.
Did that not go through? What?
What? Micah stared. She had expected as much before Henny began her gruesome tale, but the news still shook her. Evidently, she had not been half so prepared to hear the worst that she had imagined.
Oh, God, not my papa, my poor papa. Don't tell me he didn't.
I'm sorry, but
Henny sneezed.
this is you're probably suspecting. His wound was a deep one, and he died.
Dead? My papa dead?
Dad is a toenail, I'm afraid.
Henny, what the
Penny,
fuck?
I understand.
I didn't hang out to see what happened.
Just confirmed that he was dead as a doornail, right?
Well, it's all over so quickly. I don't think he suffered, at least.
Oh. And my mama, what of her? Don't tell me she also.
Henny didn't reply, but the discomfort which crossed her face let Micah with no doubts as to her mother's fate. In one brief night, both of Micah's parents had been slaughtered.
Dead as doornails, in fact.
No, she was
Damn,
orphaned.
Henny. And what of us, Henny? How did we escape? I find it hard to believe the bandits would just let us go.
Oh, I'm sure we would have joined your parents if we sat still like good little girls, but I didn't want to do that. I took your hand while they were busy with your mother, and we ran away. We fled through the woods, but the bandits took chase pretty damn... darn quick. Oh,
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 Matcha's
let
dead.
it out, Henny. Oh, they took Matcha.
Oh
They
no,
took Maha,
Matcha's
too.
dead!
it was very dark. Matcha got grabbed, and the fog was thick, and I could
No!
hardly see what was happening.
Oh no!
At one point, you tripped and you fell. Oh, there he is.
No, he's back.
He's back.
Oh, that's how you got that nasty cut on your poor forehead. And I was dragged down with you.
Got that nasty cut because Ma disappeared.
Hello, Maha. We lay on the ground in the dirt while the bandits tramped around looking for us. figured we were both a couple of goners. I started to say my prayers to the Lord Almighty, but then we survived. Oh,
Oh. Well,
Yeah, yes, we survived.
yep.
yep. Yeah, we survived. Yeah.
We're not
Yes.
dead as doornails.
We're not dead as doornails, though. We're alive as a.
No.
This, Micah supposed, was not much of a surprise. It went without saying, really, that they had survived. Otherwise, they would not be sitting in this ghastly cell, speaking to one another. Either the bandits had spared them, which seemed unlikely, or somebody had come to their defense and threw them in a cell. Who would have been wandering the woods so late at night, however? Micah could hardly credit it. Their escape must have been the stuff that fantasies were made of.
Do you know how we escaped, Henny?
I know what my eyes saw, but if my eyes can be trusted or not, well, that's another matter altogether. I think I might have bumped my head myself. It was also peculiar. At the time, it seemed like a miracle. But looking back on it, that ain't the right word. Miracles suggest God and all his angels, but there was not holy about this. Was the right Papa Mess really a total bloodbath?
Blood?
Just like the shit on your face.
There's blood on my face?
Oh, no.
Shit on her face?
Yes, there was blood and lots of it. What did you?
No.
It's hard for me to explain, but all I know is one moment we were sprawled upon the dirt, you unconscious, I half out of my mind with fright as bandits approached, and then the next, they were gone.
On? But where and how? Did they run away?
Not necessarily, not of their own free will.
I'm sorry.
The frog parted, you see, and in this figure,
Frog parted?
The frog.
this woman and a frog.
She had a frog?
Yes, she appeared so quick. It was like she was sprung up from the earth with a frog.
Oh!
She wasn't very tall. I don't think she was, at least. And she was very skinny. But the way she looked, the way she moved. Happy Pride Month.
Damn.
There was something unnatural about her. I didn't get a very good look at what happened next, but I saw her go after those bandits. I think there were at least 4 of them, but the woman soon took care of them. There was so much blood and a lot of mud. It stung to high heaven, it did. Brought tears to me eyes. That woman, though, the woman in white, she didn't seem fussed at all. She stood there once she had finished beneath the moon like nothing had happened. And then,
Penny pressed her fingers to her brow and, overwhelmed, she shook her head.
I don't remember anything after that. I must have fainted. When I finally woke up, I found myself here. It was your crying that woke me up. I've never been able to rest easy while you're in tears, Micah.
Yes, I know. You've always been so good and so kind. Thank you, Henny.
Micah chanced to smile, though the muscles around her mouth felt atrophied, worn away following the news of her parents' demise.
Oh,
God.
I
Let me drink my
no
rum.
Yeah, drink your rum, Henny. I have no idea what I would do without you. It sounds like you saved me.
Found the bandits, I suppose I did. But I wasn't much use when you took that nasty spill. There's no way I would have been able to carry you safely, not when you were all turned about in the woods and I have no idea where we were. I think I scraped my own shin too. My ankle aches. Would have.
It's okay, Henny. It's all right.
We would have been gone if that woman hadn't appeared.
It's okay, Hetty's been drinking.
See, yeah. She's been in the wrong.
But now that I'm talking about it, it doesn't sound so real. Oh, well, I can't think of any woman who would be able to beat 4 men in a test of strength. Not even your Mademoiselle Blanchard.
Micah's smile widened at this, despite the severity of their situation, and she was even able to manage to laugh. It was a weak laugh which contained little in the way of mirth, but it was sincere. Henny never failed to cheer her up. She must have had a knack for it. A comedian, a jokester, a real trickster. Micah was too old to believe in magic. When she was with Henny, she sometimes wondered.
Are you sure it was a woman who fended off those bandits? A strong woman?
Oh, a strong woman.
Perhaps it was some sort of animal instead. You said she had a frog, right? I do like those. And you failed to perceive it in all the fog?
That could be it. It definitely wasn't a Starian. Like, my mind's a mess. I feel like I've lost a good 10 years off of my life, although...
Here, Henny smiled grimly, in the manner of all survivors after witnessing something horrid.
That's better than having it cut short altogether. Uh-huh.
Yes. We must be thankful for small mercies, yes. Even if our lives were saved at my parents' expense. Can you pass that rum, please?
Doornails!
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you. Please pass the bottle.
Micah squeezed her eyes shut. She could feel tears beating upon her lashes anew, but this time she was able to subdue them. The news of her parents' deaths was a heavy burden to bear, but Micah, not having witnessed their final moments, found it hard to imagine. It still did not seem quite real. The shock of it all, perhaps, had blunted her senses. It would take a while for her parents' passing to truly register. When it did, however, Micah did not doubt the tears would come, thicker and faster than before. It had not always been so, but her childhood misadventures in her family's crypt left something of a crybaby.
And now then,
Micah inhaled, then glanced about.
where do you suppose we are, and how do you suppose we got here?
That's a good question. I've been wondering that myself. It's not the nicest of digs, is it?
Not particularly, no. It's awfully drab, and it's damp too. I'm freezing.
You poor thing, you. Come here.
Henny shifted closer to Micah, then drew her arms around her. Holding her close, she then glanced about. Both maid and mistress squinted into the shadows, as though they might unearth some secret way of escaping, a trap door perhaps, or a hidden passageway. But to Micah's disappointment, she found the cell quite unchanged. It was every bit as sparse as she recalled. The shadows did little to mask this fact, and still it stank.
There's no King of Tamriel here.
Oh.
No.
Oh, goodness me. It's not much to look at, is it? We might as well be in a prison cell?
I think that might be what this is, Henny. Maybe you should slow down with the rum.
Henny drew back from Micah, her legs crossed beneath her upon the stone floor and frowned.
You alright?
I reckon you're not right about slowing down. But this is a prison cell, I suppose.
I wonder who brought us here.
You and me, both. I wonder who it could be. It was nice of our mysterious benefactor or benefactress
Oh?
to rescue us, though they can't be all that kind if they're gonna let us suffer in here. You think they could at least put us up in a nicer room? The Bellagio? I'm not expecting first-class accommodations, but you deserve better than this, Micah. This place isn't fit for rats! Let alone people.
Oh.
On the side menu.
Did you see that, Henny? I fear I'm losing my mind. I saw something odd, but it's alright.
No, I'm sure it was quite even. I think there was 10 in total. Are you being serious?
I am. I don't know what that was.
And he raised an eyebrow when Micah smiled.
Well, anyway, visions are better than being dead, at least, even if these lodgings are a mite uncomfortable.
Only a mite?
Well, Actually, it's very stinky in here, so it's quite a bit drab and poopy, if I'm being honest.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry.
Micah drew her arms about her legs, her knees beneath her chin, and said,
When I woke up, I was lying on the floor.
On the floor?
Yes! The floor!
Henny's eyebrows shot up her forehead until they met her hairline. The gesture was so exaggerated that it managed to bring another smile to Micah's lips, despite how dire their situation was.
I suppose it makes sense that being only one bed, but oh, that is too much. I can't believe they'd fling you about like a sack of spuds.
Oh my god, there is only one bed. Oh my
God damn it, there's only
God.
one bed in the cell.
Oh no!
Oh no, guys!
Many unbelievable things have happened tonight. Our benefactor must have been bucking the trend.
Some benefactor, when I get on my hands on them, I'll give them a what for?
Don't, Henny. It wouldn't do to pick a fight with whomever brought us here. I wouldn't want to anger them, not when we're at their mercy.
Why? But that makes us sound like captives.
Henny, is that not what we are? This is a cell, after all, and we have no means of escaping. We're being treated like prisoners.
I know, but it still stings. I don't care about me, but I don't want to see you being treated like a convict, not when you've been through so much.
You've been through worse. At least I don't remember what happened, unlike you.
Oh, so much blood and mud. And
Oh.
you're the one who'll be saddled with the consequence, poor Micah. It was your parents, not mine, who were, well, dead as doornails.
Thank you, Henny.
I don't expect there to be much point trying to suss out who's suffering more than who. As it stands, we're both in this together.
Together.
I won't abandon you, Micah, so try not to worry. Keep your chin up. We'll get through this.
Thank you, Henny. I almost believe it, coming from you.
Haha. You should. I don't say things I don't mean, you know. Now, let's see. Maybe things aren't as dire as they look. There could be a way to escape yet.
Henny rose to her feet, though unsteadily, and did a circuit of the cell. Shadows made it seem larger than it was, for they obscured the walls, but it did not take Henny many steps to canvass the full length of the dingy room. She pressed her fingertips to the walls, then her ears, as though the stonework might whisper their weaknesses to her. The walls, of course, remained mute. Henny then took the bars between her fingers and squeezed experimentally, but they refused to yield.
That is wrought iron. Oh, come on.
Frustrated, Henny gave the bars a kick. The tip of her shoe collided with them, loosening clods of dirt from her soles, but
Damn it all.
the bars refused to budge. They were quite impenetrable. Sighing, Henny changed tack. She moved from the door to glance up at the window, but this was similarly barred too. Too high up to reach, much too small to squeeze through. It almost seemed like a miracle that such a small window allowed any moonlight at all to spill into the cell, when the clouds and the fog shift.
And?
Micah asked, when a disenchanted Henny flopped back down beside her with the rustle of her skirts.
Did you uncover anything?
Not all except more trapped than I thought.
I thought you might have come to that conclusion, yes.
God.
I'm Micah.
Henny kicked off her right shoe, then began to massage her feet, which had begun to throb.
This is a rum situation.
Oh,
Yes.
I wonder what to do.
it
How
is
much
a
is left, by the way?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, well, can I have one sip, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. But I don't think there's much we can do other than wait and, pass the rum.
I suppose you're right. I can't say I like the thought of that. Though we're sitting ducks here. Goose and the ducks. Oh my god, birds. I feel we ought to be taking some kind of action.
Henny looked about the cell once more, then sighed.
But I'm drawing a blank here. I can't think of anything we could do. I'm sorry for being so hopeless, Micah. I meant to look after you, but I'm a total loss.
Don't apologize, dear Henny. I feel better simply being with you.
That's something at least. I wish I could be some real use, though.
You are of real use. Without you, I'd be an unconscionable mess weeping on the floor.
Well, we can't be having that. It breaks my heart to see you cry.
Much as it breaks mine to see you self-flagellate so over something that is not your fault.
Touché! Now that we're all truly, well and truly stuck in here, I suppose we ought to make the best of it, although... Bad feeling about the place. It gives me the creeps. I don't know who imprisoned us here or what cause, but they have no manner to speak of. Why, it's almost as if...
Henny began, but she found herself unable to finish the sentence. A sound issued forth from darkness, emitting from beyond their tightly sealed cell. It was a faint sound, but Henny still heard it, hovering in the sour and musty air. It sounded like a scream.
Good God. What in the world was that?
I suppose that was just the wind?
Me when I'm a Skyrim guard.
Do you really think so? Did you steal my sweet roll?
No. But yes, I imagine it was the wind.
Micah answered in the affirmative, though deep down both she and Henny knew the truth. That had not been the wind. It had been too raw, pained, and though faint, unmistakably humane. With no obvious way of escape and very little to do, Micah and Henny had no choice but to idle their time away. They sat upon the floor together with their legs folded primly, like two little girls conducting a make-believe tea party. Henny had, at first, balked at the thought of her mistress sitting on the stone like a plebeian, but Micah's dress was already so dirty it didn't really matter. The two women did not, however, abandon themselves to inertia. Henny knew that they had to do something to take their minds off their ghastly predicament. Fortunately, Henny was not empty-handed. You know, the rum. And also a pack of cards. The cards were worn and bent in the corners, but they remained perfectly functional. For want of a better way to use their time, Henny proposed to Micah a game of Joker, a game which Micah agreed to.
It's the Joker, baby.
Two women played several rounds of the Joker, baby, examining their decks and dispensing cards. The game did not require a great degree of tactical thinking, but it helped alleviate some of Micah's worries.
Go fish.
It could not, alas, alleviate the cold. Micah had been shivering for so long she had almost grown accustomed to it. She had been in the dank, miserable, stinky, poopy cell for as long as she could remember now that it even felt to be warm. Had her journey to the Augsburg continued unimpeded, she would now be sitting in the fire in Walter Gerhardt's living room, or else tucked up in one of his many guest rooms with a warming pan at her feet.
That could be. Ooh.
Ooh. Both Augsburg and Walter Gerhardt seemed to be very far away to Micah now, though being confined thus in a prison cell. How long had she been sitting with Henny on the floor, shivering? Micah did not know. She could not tell. All Micah really knew, in her infinite ignorance, was that the night seemed hopelessly long, hopelessly small and insignificant. There was no clock in Micah's cell, and neither she nor Henny carried timepieces upon them. The only means Henny had of tracking the advancement of the hour was a sliver of sky that she could see beyond the narrow window, situated high above her head. She could recall that the sky had been dark upon her waking, and it remained so now, 3 games of Joker later. The moon, which emerged from the fog at irregular intervals, shone its pallid light upon Micah's head and upon her hand of cards, lighting her Joker in his wide, rictus grin. Micah never cared for the Joker. Oh, same. In Henny's trusty pack of cards, his expression unnerved her.
You don't like the movies?
Every once in a while,
Not really, no.
As she played, Micah spared a few glances at the bared window above her head. Though she could not guess the hour, she knew it was late. It could have been an advanced hour of the night, or could have been, by the same token, the very, very early hours of the following morning. The calendar might have shifted already from one day to the next, but Micah is none the wiser. The sky was so dark, Micah found it hard to believe the sun would ever rise again. The darkness, Kingdom Hearts, which had abounded within her cell, was so complete that it seemed to be blotted out the very concept of the morning altogether. She feared it would never again see the sun's golden rays, never again hear the twittering of the starlings in the trees which announced the brand new day.
Sorry, it's called X now.
When did the birds begin to chirp beyond their bedroom window anyway? Micah could not recall, and she must have been around 6 in the morning. Micah had gone to bed at 10 every night, like a dutiful daughter ought, but she had often found it hard to sleep for a full, unbroken 8 hours.
Oh, girly, same.
She would rise at odd hours, at 1 or 2 or 3, her head full of thoughts, and often she found it hard to sleep again. When this occurred, Micah would rise from her bed to sit by her windowsill, her forehead, in the summer, pressed to the glass. That always helped cool her, her errant thoughts alongside it. Oh, how her mind raced.
This is ridiculous!
Draw 4.
And he grows, all while examining
Draw
the
4!
cards.
Those stack, you know, in the actual rules of Uno. We ought to be at her Gerhardt's right now, as safe as houses. We weren't so very far from Augsburg, at least I don't think we were, when we were attacked. Why did those bandits make us take your parents dead as doornails?
We were just unfortunate, I suppose. I can't imagine the bandits meant specifically to target us and make my parents dead as doornails. We just happened to be there.
You're finally accepting it, Darker. You're probably...
I'm starting to.
You're probably right, but... Goodness! Of all the awful luck.
At least you've had a fair run during our game. You've beaten me out soundly during every single hand.
Ah, well, true. I suppose I should thank heaven for small mercies, eh?
Henny smiled at Micah's attempt to cheer her, but it didn't last. Both Henny's smile and Micah's cheer were half-hearted. They were soon swallowed by the sinister darkness, Kingdom Hearts, of her cell.
It's a shame I don't feel more thankful. I wonder what Herr Gerhard will make of this. He'd be off his head, I'm sure, if he knew the state you're being kept in, Micah. I'm enraged, too, for you and him. Men, you deserve far better than this. You're Von Essen, for crying out loud. The person who's holding us here will feel mighty sorry when they realize who you are. You're a real lady.
Maybe.
Micah's reply was vague, both tone and meaning. Not even Micah herself was sure whether she meant to disparage Henny's optimistic assertions that her being a lady would grant her any favor with the captor, or whether she meant to challenge the notion that she was a lady at all. Micah had been born to a noble family, it was true, with a lineage that could be traced back centuries, but the Von Essens were not what they had been. Half a century of poor financial decisions and a grandfather with compulsive gambling addiction had led to the squandering of much of the Von Essens' wealth. While still in possession of their family home and a veritable wealth of maidservants, the family's finances had been in a dire state ever since Micah can remember. Though not openly wanting for cash, Micah's parents had made a good many purchases based on their family's prestige rather than the figures in their bank account. Micah's wedding to Herr Gerhard had been an attempt to store up the family's wealth before they could fall from grace altogether, but that now seemed like an impossibility. How could Micah wed Walter when she was incarcerated? Oh.
Oh.
What a shame.
If Micah had loved Walter, surely she would have shed tears over such a cruel fate. As it was, however, she was curiously calm. Oh, she don't care. What did she care for how Walter Gerhard felt? She barely knew the guy.
Well, not to worry. Herr Gerhard must be sitting in his drawing room now, wondering where the blazes we are. Herr Gerhard is sure to send out a search party before long. He'll be worried sick about you, Micah.
Do you really think?
Absolutely. I mean, he is your fiance. He's-
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
sorry.
So you? Okay, all right. He's got to be worried. You're such a sweet thing. I don't see how he couldn't.
Thank you, Henny. I appreciate it.
Don't thank me, Micah. I'm just stating the facts. If I was a man and had a fiance like you can bet I wouldn't let you out of my sight.
And he just like makes
Oh.
you're like so close to a realization there.
Uh-huh. Perhaps it's a good thing that I'm here with you, then. You at least know I'm alright.
Yes, you are, and I thank heaven on high for it. You know I'd do anything to keep you safe, Micah.
I know.
Micah could well believe that coming from Henny. When it came to Henny's claims about Walter, however, Micah was less certain.
Hmm.
Oh,
Oh God.
Jesus
oh, God.
Christ. Oh no. Oh no. What she did know about Walter, really, other than his age and his occupation and how fabulously, excessively wealthy he was, you know, look at those fucking gems. Micah had met Walter on only 3 past occasions. They'd exchanged almost as many words. The man was a stranger to her, and Micah's desire to marry him was inversely proportional with her parents' desire to see her walking down the aisle. Micah had been dreading her visit to Augustburg for well over a month. Now it had been terminated, she felt a perverse sort of relief. Part of Micah had even begun to wonder whether the bandit's attack had brought with it some good alongside the bad. But that, Micah chastised herself, was hopelessly cruel. Were her parents' lives truly worth that little to her? It was true enough that she may never see Walter Gerhard again, but she could never see her mother nor her father again either. It was not a fair trade, not by any stretch of the imagination. How could she have ever thought of such a thing? If only there was a woman who could make her feel a little better about this.
If only.
She really must have been wicked. Was that why she found herself in such a dire situation? Perhaps this was God's way of punishing her for being a poor daughter, and a sinner who spent too much of her time lost in daydreams, imagining things which could never and would never be. Micah and Henny sat in their cell for what could have been minutes, hours, or even days, whittling away the time. By God, there was so much time! Which, with continued, unending, incessant games of Joker.
Baby.
Because her was not in the game. Her head was not in the game. Her head otherwise occupied, and Henny trounced her soundly, 12-1.
At least you won one.
Henny was better than Micah at card games in general. This came as a little surprise. Micah was accustomed to losing, and accepted her failures with good grace. There are more important things in life than card games, Yugi boy. And in any event, Micah was glad to be rid of the eerily grinning jokers in her deck. Little of note happened during these dead empty hours. Micah had begun to wonder, in a detached way, as Henny launched into her 14th round of Joker, whether they would ever meet the rescuer. Perhaps whoever had hauled them from the forest had done so, not as an act of kindness, but as a means of prolonging their suffering. Maybe they meant to keep them locked in the cell, alone, until time itself slowed to a trickle, then ceased. The squalid stone walls tumbling down about them to crush their emancipated corpses in the debris. But soon, shockingly soon it seemed, despite all the inimitable waiting, Micah found her hypothesis proven wrong. She could hear, above the sound of Henny shuffling the deck, a sound. Footsteps. The footsteps were quiet enough at first that Micah wondered whether she had imagined them, but as the seconds elapsed, they became louder still until even Henny heard them.
Goodness me!
Henny fumbled with the cards and threw them down. Red hearts and black spades split across the stone.
Can you hear that, Micah?
Yes, I can. Somebody must be coming.
A rescuer from the woods, do you think?
Could be the Joker baby.
Oh God.
I hope it's not Joker. I hope it's a rescuer, but maybe.
Micah
Could
shows
be
up
the
to
Joker.
finish this thought. Her saliva felt too thick in her throat, like tar, and she shivered. She didn't want to extinguish the hope which she could see, flickering now in Henny's eyes. That would have been cruel. Henny's head swiveled to the grated iron door. Excitable as a puppy, with end wide-eyed, she peered through the shadows.
This is the time for the better! I was beginning to worry they'd forgotten all about us! I can't wait to come face to face with them. I'm sure to tell them exactly what I think about their so-called hospitality.
You've said that once before, Henny, and I wish you wouldn't. I don't want to anger them.
Oh, stuff and nonsense! I'm sure it will be fine! If they wanted to harm us, they had plenty of chances to do it already, surely. Surely?
That's true, but...
Surely one could realize?
Shirley?
The footsteps drew closer still, echoing about the stone walls, echoing inside Micah's skull. The footsteps could represent one of two things. They would mean salvation if they were lucky, but Micah found it difficult to believe this. Neither she nor Henny had been lucky that night, despite Henny's continued winning hands at Joker. It seemed far more likely that these footsteps would bring about yet more suffering, and sure enough... Alright, next person.
Oh. I don't. Well, look what the cat dragged in.
The voice that cut through Micah's musings was a proud, haughty one, the syllables polished to perfection like cut glass. The voice
Well, that's
belonged,
not a character
quite
for me.
obviously, to a woman, and giving her pronunciation, she must have been well bred. Oh, okay. Perhaps their Huh?
I'm inbred.
Oh. Perhaps their
I'm
rescuer
breaded.
was a lady, then. A Vaughn such and such, like Micah, from a family whose ancestral home was vast and old and grand enough to have its own dungeon. Whereas most nobility used their subterranean storage spaces for wine cellars, this family seemed to prefer taking prisoners. The thought did not fill Micah with much confidence about her mysterious rescuer. Anxiously, she glanced up to meet the source of said voice, and when she did,
Oh!
Micah could not help but gasp in surprise. Whoa!
Oh.
The owner of the voice, who now stood upon the opposite side of the cell's door, was not at all what Micah had imagined. She was shorter than Micah had expected, shorter than Micah herself, who was dwarfed by her wealthier, significantly older fiancé, oh god, and slender with it, her cheekbones high, her neck not similarly to a stem of a flower. Her skin was frighteningly pale, like that of a corpse, and beneath her eyes, Micah could see dark rings similar to those she often spotted during the long nights at her bedroom window, unable to sleep. The woman, or was she a girl, had hair so fair it was almost white, which almost seemed to glow in the moon's light. Her hair was not worn her hair was not in something, but instead was loose. It tumbled about her shoulders in waves, all disarrayed, in a manner that could have been Micah's mother's, swoon from the sheer impropriety of it. The girl's appearance, was she a girl, was striking, not only because of her indeterminable age, but because of her eyes, which were widely spaced and fringed with the most luxurious of lashes. Her irises were not brown like Henny's, nor blue like Micah's. They were not green, nor hazel, nor gray, nor any of the other shades Micah had seen in the faces of her family servants, and the attendants at the boutiques to which her mother took her, and the congregation at the local parish. Her irises were, instead, bright red, so much that they bordered on the visceral. These lovely irises were even redder than the blood that seeped from Micah's sliced cheek, which seemed to be full of violence. The girl was a perfect stranger to Micah, but her eyes told more than pleasant chit-chat ever could. She was not normal. Micah knew instinctively, as she gazed upon her, that she would keep her distance, if she could, but this only made her, conversely, feel even more enchanted. She could not look away from her. It was as though
Oh
her
boy.
Here
Here we go.
As her captor placed her under a spell.
Spill.
Ooh, a spell.
That woman!
Henny shifted back, her skirts shifting against the ground.
She's the one I told you about, Micah. The one from the woods. She's the one who fought off those bandits. I thought I saw what was unbelievable, but now I know it wasn't a dream. She really is real. She killed all those men.
I support women's rights.
Oh, really?
And woman's
wow.
wrong.
She's awesome!
Yeah, she is.
Oh, a monster am I?
The woman's unnatural eyes narrowed and, with a smile, said,
You cut me to the quick. Oh wait, yeah. You humans do. At least you would, were I not so accustomed to it. Perhaps I bring it upon myself, given the unusual manner in which I treat my guest. But you could at least try to be polite. Why, if it were not for me, both of you would be lying in the woods right now, mangled beyond all recognition.
Look at her puffed cheeks!
"Heh."
So you really were the one who saved us. I thought as much. Yours isn't a face anybody could forget in a hurry.
Why, thank you. I will take that as a compliment. I am very striking, I know.
Why did you save us, though? And how? I can't believe you brought us back here, whoever here is, on your own. You must have had help.
Oh, if only. But alas, I had not had any help for, well, let's see. It must have been a century at least.
Oh, damn, she old.
A sentry?
Henny gawked at the woman, her eyes agog.
A gog?
Gog.
But that would make you older than my grandmother. That can't be right. You don't look a day over 18.
Oh, do you really think so? You're too kind.
Laughing softly, the woman extricated a key from her pocket, then inserted it into the waiting keyhole. Deftly she turned it, and deftly she stepped inside the cell. The hem of her dark cape dragging... Oh, she has a cape! Dragging at the uneven stone floor.
God.
Oh, vampires need a cape, guys!
Ha ha.
Once inside the cell, she turned to close the door, then locked it anew.
Oh!
What?
You're in here with me.
Oh!
Oh.
That ought to do it. It would be horribly tedious if you tried to run from me. I would be able to get you, of course. But I'd rather not bother with all of that fuss.
With the door secured, the woman placed the key inside her pocket and turned to look at her prisoners. Her red eyes met Micah's, which were narrowed with mistrust. And pouting, she said,
Now, why are you looking at me like that? You're making me feel quite unwelcome, and you need to invite me to be able to enter. No reason other than I just want to be polite. I thought you'd be relieved to see my face. After being left to languish in the catacombs of my castle for hours on end. But maybe I was hoping for too much.
Oh, she's rich too. She owns a castle.
What vampire doesn't own a castle? In any case, you shouldn't frown like that, dear. It is an awful waste. You'll wrinkle your pretty face.
Oh.
This chastisement was familiar to Micah. He had heard it many times from her mother. While Micah had been trained to obey her mother without question, however, it was not so with this strange woman. Some of her reticence fell away, and when needled, Micah said,
What I do with my face is my own concern. I'm sure it's none of your business.
My goodness. You're fester. Wait, feistier. I'm sorry to say you're fester.
How rude!
You're feistier than you look. I took you for a shrieking violet. A shrinking violet. Maybe shrieking, I don't know. But maybe I was mistaken. You might make for quite the amusing plaything. Although, you would be a good sight prettier if you smiled. You should smile more.
"Oh God!"
Are you serious right now?
No.
Huh.
I can't say I blame you for being so surly, though. I never liked smiling on command either. Though, it's been many, many years since anybody last tried to give me orders. It's fortunate no one can tell me what to do now, at least. It came at quite the price, but... Oh well, never mind. Where are my manners? You're in my manor. My name is McDonald. Dyslexia. Magdalena. But you may call me Lena. Thank you. Thank you for getting me your shorthand. My family's name, meanwhile, is of no particular importance. They might have commanded some respect back in the day, but it is not so now. They have long since been obliterated. I doubt history will remember them. It would not wish to.
That is toenails!
Damn.
I am all that is left of their legacy, in fact. I would very much love to rub it in their faces, but alas, I never got the chance. It was very nice to meet you, for the second time this night.
So saying, Magdalena dropped a neat curtsy, taking hold of her cape in lieu of her skirt.
But I am afraid I will not be afforded much of a chance to properly know you. Well, I would relish this the chance to speak to a couple of young maidens such as yourselves. I have designs for you beyond idle chatter.
Oh!
This Via just starts swerving into Henny being the love interest. It's like, oh!
Henny.
And what do you mean by that exactly?
Only that now I have brought you here, I cannot continue to let you live. You have already seen too much.
What?
Yeah.
Henny
You're gonna
stared
die.
at Magdalena with wide eyes, so full of fear that air swelled it.
What do you mean?
What I said. Do try to keep up. It's awfully tedious having to explain myself down to the finer details. But I suppose you have the right to know the bare minimum. Prisoners through you may be. I would hate to keep you in suspense. At this point, it doesn't matter how much you know. You won't be able to tell anyone else what you might learn here. You will not be venturing forth beyond the walls of my castle ever again.
Magdalena smiled, her lips lifting in a wicked grin not so very unlike that of the Joker baby in Henny's pack of cards.
Mr. J.
Though Magdalena's face was white, her lips were red, much like her eyes. They stood out within her milky face, like a rose blooming despite the winter's chill. Or else, Micah thought with a shudder, freshly spilt blood.
You must understand that I am not a normal woman. No human can hope to best me when it comes to a competition of sheer strength. As the bandits who were pursuing you soon discovered. It didn't take me more than a few seconds to dispatch them. The fight they put up was so pathetic. It makes me wonder why they even bothered. If they had any respect for my time, they would have slit their own throats with their daggers and saved me the trouble. You humans can be awfully soulless. What? But if they hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to bring the leader of their little group back to my castle. He was in a bad way, and I was obligated to introduce myself to him before bestowing upon you similar honors. I really must apologize for making you wait.
Magdalena dropped another curtsy, as an elegant lady might, but it smacked of insincerity. How many men and women had Magdalena brought to her castle, and how many had she summarily tortured? Micah knew of at least one besides herself and Henny.
Was a
Bandit's
bandit.
lady.
Oh, sorry!
Oh,
Whoa!
it's okay. Did you kill him?
Eventually.
Henny, are you okay?
Yes.
I'm fine.
It was quite the sight. You ought to have seen the way he begged and pleaded and groveled at my feet. A grown man like that, who was practically made of muscle. Oh, how fickle fortune is. Just 1 hour hence he was the predator, stalking his prey through the woods, and the next.
Magdalena drew a hand across her neck in the unequivocal, universal gesture of a slit throat.
Well, what goes around comes around. He got what he deserved, and his screams really were exquisite. Did you perchance happen to hear them? He was being rather loud.
I support women's rights. What? You? Oh goodness.
But what about women's wrongs?
Yes.
Good. Surprised, are you? You shouldn't be. That man was a bandit, a vulture in a man's flesh who profit on misery. If it weren't for me, you would have gone the same way as the poor unfortunates in that stalled carriage. The driver and the horses too. Nobody was spared their ravages, man nor beast. They made quite the gnarly mess. Were I a century younger, I would have been enough. It would have been enough to turn even my stomach.
Maybe that is so, but to gloat over another death like that, it doesn't seem right. You're twisted.
If I am twisted, that is only because this world. We live in a society.
Oh no. Magdalena
It's a
began,
joker.
but oh god, then paused.
Oh,
A momentary furrow captured her brow, but soon it straightened out as though nothing of note had occurred.
Well, never mind that. I do not wish to spout cliches about good and evil. I would begin to bore myself. The fact of the matter is, that man got what he deserved, as did his compatriots. I took great pains to ensure that. I paid that brigand back twofold for what he did to you. Did you know that he tried to be stoic in the beginning? Humans often are. Human males in particular. They've so much pride. It's funny, really, that a girl like that would care so very much about appearances. He was less a man than he was a dog, but he still had pretensions of greatness or of grandeur. I soon stripped him of these lofty delusions, however. Humans are very alike in one regard, at least. You all scream the same after your bones have been broken, and you all bleed red.
that man was a brigand, I'll grant you that, who deserved the hangman's noose. But that's for the court of law to decide, not you, I think. What you did isn't just it's barbaric. You shouldn't be taking pleasure in other people's deaths. What gave you the right to kill him anyway?
I had every right to kill him. He was on my land, as were you and the young lady here. His life was forfeit the moment he encroached upon my territory. The Lord's Prayer may say that we ought to forgive those who wrong us, but I have no patience with such teachings. They do not apply to me.
Oh, you go, girl.
I am getting mixed messages from you, Annie.
Don't worry about it.
Noted. The Lord has forsaken me. I am no longer a member of his congregation. He would have no love for me as I am now, and I have little love for him. I cannot conceive how he could have let me suffer so, if he truly existed. Sometimes I do wonder.
So you mean to add blasphemy to your list of crimes?
Oh, I've done far, far worse than that in my time. The mortals of you good, sensation, this churchgoers, do not apply to me. And I am not of your kind. I'm a drinker of blood who walks the night. I have been alive for over a century, so my life is very different from yours and your mistresses. I doubt that you could understand me, and neither do I want you to. I have no desire to understand you either. There would be no point. We are much too different, you and I.
A drinker of blood? I'm a drinker of rum. But that would make you...
A vampire?
It was Micah who offered forth this label after Henny's voice faltered. Micah was an ardent devourer of books, and she had read before of such shadowy denizens of the night, much to her mother's chagrin.
You read books?
I do.
Lady Von Essen had thought that Micah, as a well-bred young woman, ought to not read at all. It will only excite your mind, dear. It should, instead, busy yourself with embroidery.
Ugh.
Micah, however, had always preferred books to busy work, particularly work which involved needles, and she found herself returning to stories time and time again whenever she needed a break from her own dreary
Mon.
life.
No.
No.
How long have you
No.
been 18?
A while.
Oh,
Micah had read all manner of books over the years, like Midnight Sun, Dracula Daily. But she preferred adventure stories full of mystery, intrigue, and yes, even murder.
Murder?
Micah knew from reading that vampires were nocturnal creatures, often aristocratic, who shunned the sunlight, dwelt in ruinous castles, and supped on the lifeblood of fair maidens.
Micah's a true crime girly.
Literally? Yes, Micah thought, in an oddly detached manner. That did make sense. She had sensed there was something strange about Magdalena when their eyes had first met. Magdalena must have really been a vampire. It all made sense. Or at least, it would have, had Micah been a heroine in one of her novels. But in life, Micah reminded herself, was not akin to a story. Micah might have consumed books like a starving man, but she had sense enough to know that words written within the pages of adventure stories were all scenes of fiction. Vampires ought to have remained within the realm of make-believe. They had no business walking about as humans did, made of cold, unfeeling flesh with hearts which no longer beat. They are supposed to be constructs, mere figments of fancy. But Magdalena was undoubtedly real, and unsettling though she was, Micah did not take her for a liar.
Yes, that is correct. I am a vampire, and this castle is my territory. It and the woods that want to be able to surround you.
Sorry.
That's all good. Oh, yeah. You wandered into my domain, you hopeless little lambs. Well, on the run from those awful bandits. I know none of this is your fault, and I have no quibbles with you. I'm not blaming you for what occurred tonight there. See how fair I am. I am too nice by half. Too nice for my own good, 'cause... cows. You have been awfully surly with me. The both of you. But I have only ever been polite. I would even let you go if I could. Dispatching of brigands is one thing, but I take no pleasure in harming you young ladies. But I fear that would be foolhardy.
Oh,
I cannot allow anybody who has wandered into my realm to leave alive. I do not want you telling tall tales. I should snap both of your necks and be done with it, but...
Magdalena's red eyes found Micah's, then held them. Her smile, which hitherto had seemed so easy, faded as she frowned.
You don't seem to be a mere peasant. I can tell from your clothes, dirty though they are, that you are from a wealthy background. Your voice and your bearing. Yes, even the way you look at me.
Oh,
It all suggests that you, in fact, are in a Yuri. Not a lady.
Oh my!
Would I be correct in that assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, why do you ask?
As long as none of us fall under a Tome fainting syndrome, we'll be fine.
Oh,
Oh,
well.
It would be problematic for me if I were to dispatch a woman of renown. I would not want your disappearance to catch the attention of men in high places.
Ugh.
If they were to send out a search party into these woods, it's not wholly impossible that they would stumble upon my home. I've lived out of sight from the public eye for nigh on a century. And I have no desire to invite half of Argsburg, Constabulary, into my home. I know what the constable is. The idea is incredibly unpleasant.
Magdalena pulled a face, as a small child might when confronted with a plate of food they did not much care for.
Bleh. If you really are a lady, I might do well to exercise some caution. I suppose I can always spare your life. And kill only this dowdy common girl. Your maid, I take it.
Magdalena looked to Henny. Now, her lips curled into a mead smile.
Mean.
Mead.
What do you say to that? It's not a bad trade, is it? Her life for yours, Odysseus. Precious few people who find themselves in my abode are ever able to live to tell the said tale. You would be one in... goodness, how many guests I have had over the years? There must be a good 200 or 300. Aren't you touched by my thoughtfulness?
Silence descended on the decrepit cell following Magdalena's announcement. Stuck for words, Micah could only stare at her, her lips parted. What was she to say to Magdalena's proposal? How was she to feel? There was relief, certainly, at the prospect of escaping the cell, but Micah could take no real pleasure in it, not when it came to the cost of Henny's life. How could she abandon her friend, who had been by her side since early childhood? Were it not for Henny, Micah knew she would be dead already, butchered like farmyard animal in Barrett's carriage. Henny had rescued her once already. It seemed unconscionable that she would leave her now. Micah turned this over in her mind, worrying her teeth with her lower lip when
CG! Well, if my life's all you're after.
Henny reached out, taking Micah's hands between her own, and said,
What else is there to think about? Sounds like a fine suggestion to me. Don't you agree, Micah?
What?
Micah stared into Henny's round, soft face, her eyes vast and uncomprehending.
Surely you don't mean that. You're not alright with this, are you, Henny?
Well, it'd be a lie if I said I was jumping up and down for joy at the prospect of being eaten by a vampire. Well,
Henny smiled away from
Praise.
though she tried to maintain a brave face.
but if it's what I've got to do to save your life, Micah, then I'll do it. I do love you, after all. I'm not going to let you get hurt.
Henny tried to sound brave, but Micah could hear how her voice trembled all the same, and could feel, too, how Henny's hand shook. Henny, like her, had heard the screams of the bandits' leader as they echoed through the halls. Though neither woman had seen his final moments, they knew from his cries that his demise had been barbarous. Micah could not allow Henny to endure such suffering for her sake. He could not allow her to die. Micah knew Henny wished only the best for her, but
No.
Micah spoke up, her voice surprisingly cool, given the wild fluctuations of her heart within her breast.
I won't allow that to happen. Are you alright?
Mhm.
Okay. If one of us must remain here, then it ought to be me.
What? No! You can't mean that, Micah. Surely you jest.
No, I hate jesters and jokers. You know I have a terrible sense of humor, Henny. I hardly ever tell jokes. I don't have enough levity in me for them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm being very serious, like I always am. You've always looked out for me ever since I was small, not that I always listened to you. Don't you remember when I stole the keys to the mausoleum in my insufferable curiosity and crept inside?
But of course I remember. You dragged me in after you despite my warnings, and it went down about as badly as expected too.
Didn't it just?
Faintly, Micah smiled, dire though the situation was, happy to share this memory with Henny. For all she knew, might have been very well the last chance to reminisce with her maid like this. Micah knew not what the future held, but
Lady Von Essen was in such an awful mood when she found out. It was quite frightening. I'd never seen anything like it.
Oh yes, she was fearfully gross. It was a wonder fire didn't come out of her nostrils.
I recall that she struck you, and then when I tried to argue on your behalf, she struck me too, the bitch.
Yes, the bitch.
She struck me so hard my ears still ring from it. Oh wait, that's tinnitus.
Oh! God, yes,
Oh.
poor hen. I felt awful about it at the time. Really, I did. Tinnitus is a bitch. I didn't care about my punishment. God knows I deserved it. But you'd done nothing wrong. You'd been perfectly reasonable about the whole thing. If I'd listened to you, we could have avoided the funeral altogether, but I was too reckless. I ignored your wishes, but you still tried to protect me. You jumped to my defense just like a knight, and you were slapped silly for your troubles. It was horribly unfair.
Well, it's good she's dead as a doornail now, right?
No.
It's great. I've dragged you into all sorts of messes before, and you've always come to my defense. You've been a wonderful friend to me throughout the years, but I keep relying upon you. I don't want to take advantage of your kindness.
But Micah, I like it when you rely on me. Please feel free to take advantage. That's what I'm here for.
No, I can't. It isn't right. It's long past time that I repaid you.
By offering up yourself as a sacrifice in my stead? This isn't what I want, Micah, please.
Henny stared at her mistress, her wide eyes entreating.
I love you, but you're acting like a crazy woman.
And you are the pinnacle of rationality, are you, considering the crazy deal? That is truly insane. Don't tell me you've accepted all this.
Of course I've not accepted it. I'm terrified, really. See how my poor hands are shaking. When none of us biting, it has to be better than both of us. If I can protect you, then I must. I will. That's my job.
No, it isn't. Not any longer. I'm absolving you of your duty, Henny. This farce has lasted long enough.
Are you firing me?
Well, yes and no.
What farce?
You know what I mean.
Is this a layoff?
Well, Magdalena.
She still get healthcare? Oh no!
What are your benefits like? I don't know if Magdalena's back.
I am back.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Have you quite finished with your little quarrel? I must confess, I was
Oh,
left out.
Huh?
oh.
Oh.
Ah,
My apologies. I will endeavor not to be so rude in the future to my hostess.
Micah dipped her head in a gesture of esteem, one not so very dissimilar to the way Henny was bidden to bob around her mother. Micah knew she could not afford to anger Magdalena. If Micah was to save Henny, she would be obliged to beg and bow and scrape. Fortunately, begging and bowing were not beyond Micah's means, even though she was a lady. She was no stranger to scraping either, having tearfully entreated her parents to reconsider her marriage prospects. She had failed in that score, but she didn't intend to fail now. She knew what she must say. It seemed a stretch that Magdalena would believe her, but if she did...
I fear you are laboring under a misapprehension, Lady Magdalena. Your reasoning is sound. There would indeed be a ruckus if a noblewoman was to go missing, but your application is not. I am not a lady, you see, but my companion is.
Magdalena raised an eyebrow.
then you mean to say you are the maid and this lumpkin Henny here is the mistress?
That is correct, yes. I know I am dressed as a lady, albeit a disgraced one, but that was part of Lord and Lady Vonison's ruse. While traveling, they often have me dressed as a lady, well, Henny, that is to say, Enrique, dresses as a maid. It is a means of subterfuge so that if our carriage were to be attacked by bandits, I am the one who would be in harm's way, rather than my mistress. Only a truly desperate bandit would rummage through the pockets of a maid, especially when she is with her lady.
What? Micah, that's...
Henny began, but Micah cut her off. She was warming to her ruse, but she found she could not still her tongue until she had delivered the whole address.
Lady Henriquez... whatever. Is the one whom will be missed in Augsburg, not I. She has a fiancé... sorry. Waiting for her, you know, and he's a very important man. If she doesn't arrive before the dawning of the next day, he will be certain to send out a search party for her. You would not want that, would you?
Magdalena pondered Micah's tall tale for a few moments, one gloved hand resting upon her hip. As she thought, Micah stared at her, compelling her for sheer force of will to accept her tale at face value. Micah knew her story was patently unbelievable, but she didn't need to convince a whole jury. She just needed only to convince Magdalena. An age seemed to pass, during which nobody spoke until...
Very well. If that is how it is, then I suppose I have no choice. You may leave my abode, Lady Heinrich.
Here, Magdalena drops another effusive curtsy.
If that is indeed your real name, I will grant you the chance to reunite with your fiancée in Augsburg, who must be awaiting you with no shortage of anticipation. Who wouldn't, after all, wish to dote upon a maiden as fair and fine as yourself? Your surprisingly well-spoken maid, however, will be bidden to remain by my side. Do we have a deal?
Yes. I would do anything to ensure Lady Heinrich's safety.
Most assuredly. You would not consent to acting as a decoy on her behalf if you didn't care. What a wonderful friendship you women have. It is quite special, really, particularly given the disparity in your social statuses. Now, come along, Lady Heinrich. It was very lovely to make your acquaintance, but now I fear I must cut our meeting short. Let me escort you to the front door. It's the least I can do for a woman of your lofty status.
What? Micah, no!
Henny cried, but in vain. Magdalena was soon upon her, her pale fingers winding tight around her wrist.
Micah, please stop this. Tell her the truth.
I'm sorry, Hen, but
Abashed, Micah dropped her gaze to the stone floor. Though she had given her life for Henny's sake, she found she could not meet her friend's gaze as she was dragged bodily from the cell. The hurt in Henny's countenance and the betrayal stung far too much.
this is how it has to be.
Go along with this woman's plan, but you scuppered it up. Scuppered! I don't understand you at all, Micah. Why would you tell such a tissue of lies for little old me? Magdalena, please!
Henny stared at Magdalena, all while trying and failing to dig her heels into the stone floor of her cell.
Surely you can't believe my mistress. She's obviously lying. There's no way she isn't a lady, not with a fancy, proper way of talking. She's far, far more genteel than ever I could ever dream of being.
Manners are certainly more polished than yours own, yes. But perhaps this comes from years of servitude. You could stand to learn a thing or two from your maid, Lady Heinrich. Your fiancé won't think much of you as you are now, I am afraid. Why, you're speaking almost like a fishwife. Now, come along. Let us not argue. You will give me a headache.
But Micah, I can't leave her. Let me go.
Henny cried anew, squirming now, but Magdalena's hold upon her did not loosen. If anything, it seemed to grow stronger, to such a degree that Henny screamed.
Ah! Ow!
Henny's cry echoed through the cell,
Ow!
more unbearable than those of the bandit's leader during his final moments.
Ow!
Magdalena had not made Henny bleed at least, but she was gripping her wrist so tightly Micah feared she might snap it. Henny, who was short and dumpy, could put up little in the way of a fight. Poor maid was quite helpless before her.
Ow!
There was nothing which could be done, not any longer. Henny would have to leave, while Micah would remain incarcerated in this dreary cell alone. This is what Micah had wanted, but she spun her, frankly untenable story. So why then should she feel so guilty?
Let go of me! Let go, I say! Micah, please!
Henny
Ow!
continued the protest, but Magdalena remained insensible to her cries. The door of the cell was closed once more with a metallic clang, and Micah was left upon the ground, pale-faced, trembling, and all alone. Bye, Henny. Forced to marry a man she doesn't love, Micah despairs in her future.
Oh, yeah, right, the opening.
When she and her family
Oh.
fall found bandits deep in the woods. Did it freeze?
Oh, did it?
I think it
Oh
froze.
no! Come on. Did you
No.
save it all? Oh,
Oh, it's fine. The video did freeze though.
Oh
yeah,
my
I think
God.
you just hit the skip button, which fine, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's
it-
just like a trailer,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, anyway, the time passed at an agonizingly slow pace as Micah sat on the stone floor of her cell with her legs demurely crossed. Without Henny to cheer her, the air felt colder than it had before, the shadows darker.
No, me.
Magdalena had taken Henny from the cell. So abruptly she hadn't been afforded the chance to collect her scattered playing cards. Now these cards were strewn upon on the floor, red diamonds, red as Magdalena's eyes, and the whole black cubs. Micah caught the eyes of the nearby the Joker baby. His lips turned into an unsettling smile and shivered. She knew she was being paranoid, but she felt almost as if the card was mocking her. Micah reached out, fingers trembling, to grab the card, and then flipped it over. She did not want to look at the Joker's grinning face. Did not want to think either about what Henny was doing or how she was feeling, and she certainly did not want to think of her own future. It would be easier to drive such musings through her mind, and yet. Though Micah tried to keep her thoughts placid, like the smooth surface of an untroubled lake, sinister quarries, sharp-toothed like eels, would ride just beneath the surface. What would happen when Magdalena returned? Did she mean to kill Micah quickly or make her suffer first? Magdalena had seemed to derive great pleasure from her torture of the bandits' leader, but she had said she did not care to harm young ladies. Had she meant it? Is a young lady treated differently around here? Micah could only hope. If Magdalena did mean to kill her, she would do so quickly. She had suffered enough for one night. No, for one lifetime. Micah, despite her heroism, did not want to die. The thought terrified her. When she imagined how Magdalena might kill her, a blade to the throat perhaps, poison, drowning, strangulation, her skin, which was now icy cold, rippled with goose flesh. She did not want to be stabbed or poisoned or drowned or choked. She wanted to live. Micah had read stories of knights and their exploits, but she was no chivalrous sir herself. She was a young woman, though not, as her mother might have reminded her, so very young anymore, that she had little experience of the world beyond her parents' home. From an early age, Micah had been taught to hold her tongue, to hold her thoughts, to be sweet and pretty and patient, and above all else, quiet. She was not supposed to think for herself, let alone stand up for herself. It wasn't appropriate conduct for a lady. Micah had endured 25 years as such, living only to please her parents and her parents' esteemed visitors, and later her parents' chosen fiancé, but it did not feel like living. The only times Micah felt herself were those when she played cards with Henny, or read her books, or sat up by her window at night and stared out into the garden. Micah was 25, almost 26, but knew nothing of the world. She knew nothing of freedom. She had never truly lived. How then was she supposed to die? She could not pass on surely until she had at least been afforded the chance to visit some of the places she had read about in her stories. Such dreams had all but which had been kept Micah going throughout her dreary days kept indoors. She had persevered, not for the sake of her present, which she had lamented, but for the hopes of a better future which waited beyond the horizon. Now Micah feared that she would never be able to reach that future. Her life was to be curtailed before it truly began. She would never see any of the world now. Paris and Venice and Rome would remain a mystery to her, exotic settings for stories and nothing more. She had been born trapped, and now she would die. The only difference was it was no longer her parents trapping her, but a monster. Had her 25 years thus been a story, Micah thought bitterly, it would have been a hopelessly dull one, full of endless waiting but precious little doing. Waiting to live. Waiting to die. Waiting to kiss a woman. Was there any difference
woman?
between those two states, really, when all was said and done?
there's no point crying about it.
Micah muttered under her breath, in the dark, her own peace of mind.
There's no guarantee I would have been allowed to live even if Magdalena did set me free. I would have to return to Herr Gerhard, and we would wed, and then I would spend the rest of my days trapped in his house. I would go from being a cloistered daughter to a cosseted wife. Is that any better, really?
In Micah's eyes opened nothing but another form of imprisonment. Walter had the money to travel anywhere, but whether he'd be willing to expend those funds on the little jaunts for his housebound, bored wife was doubtful. Perhaps it was better this way. Micah had no life, she knew, waiting for her beyond the walls of Magdalena's castle. She had never been allowed to live as she had wanted. That being the case, she might as well die. Well, might as well. She had nothing left to lose. The minutes passed by, each more intolerable than the last, until Micah was alerted by the sound of footsteps. The iron door which partitioned the cell from the hall had opened up with a scraping squeal, and once more Magdalena entered to make the sound. Though Magdalena had left with an unwilling Henny in tow, she was now alone. Henny had gone.
Well, well, aren't you a sight for sore eyes? How fare you, my dear captive? I do apologize for the wait.
Oh, never
Oh.
mind about me. What? Oh. What about Henny? Did you set her free?
Goodness me, your loyalty towards your lady is most profound. I was certain you would be inquiring as to your own fate, but no. You seem only to care for her. I'm jealous.
Oh.
Oh.
Don't read into it. Bleh!
But I like to read.
Oh,
Touche. You really ought to worry about yourself more, given the circumstances. But I shall endeavor to allay your worries. I did indeed set your mistress free. I escorted her to the entrance of my home, then bid her on her merry way. Why do you ask? Do you not trust me?
You've done little to deserve it, given the way you've treated Henny and I, but oh, I'm so glad to hear it. I only hope that Henny will be alright on her own.
That reminds me. Remains to be seen. I might have set her free, but there's no guarantee she'd be able to find her way to Augsburg. Not in the dark. Not with all this frog.
Oh, there's frogs?
Yes,
Oh!
frog verse.
Oh!
These woods are dense, and the paths are not clearly signposted. It would come as no surprise if she were to find herself lost, or else at the mercy of wild animals. This forest is fair teeming with wolves. Did you know that?
oh,
Oh.
Oh! There's one now!
Yes, there's many. Oh yes, this forest is just as much their territory as it is mine, and they often come out at night to hunt. Bandits are the only thing fair ladies have to watch out for. But if your lady friend is resourceful, and luck is on her side, she should emerge from this trial unscathed. Let us hope that she'll be alright, shall we?
Micah said nothing to this, but instead dropped her gaze, her irises fixed upon her knees. Her mind is turned, not to her own indeterminate fate, but to Henny, who would now be staggering through the woods, wreathed in ephemeral frogs.
frogs!
Micah saw Henny backed up against the copse of trees, their branches slender, sinister, as a pack of hungry wolves bore down upon her, their eyes glistening madly in the moonlight. But this is only one possibility. Magdalena had said that Henny would need luck on her side, and Henny had that in spades. If her performance in The Joker Baby was anything to believe. He had always been better at cards than Micah.
No, enough about Lady Henrik. She is no longer my captive, and as such, is of little interest to me. I would far rather speak to you.
To me?
Yes, indeed. I have designs on you, my loyal little serving girl. I do hope you'll make yourself useful during your stay.
Signs? Then you mean...
Micah pressed her fingers to the base of her throat. She could feel her pulse beating again beneath the surface of her cool skin, erratic as a rabbit's caught in a snare.
Do you wish to drain me of my blood?
Do you want me to drain you of your blood?
Magdalena tittered.
How very eager you are.
It is not that. Do not misunderstand. I wish only, if you mean to kill me, that you would do so quickly. I've grown sick of waiting.
Oh yes, that look in your eyes delectable. It may be more so even than your blood.
Oh, the visions! The visions!
Oh no!
You're very defiant. You're so very defiant. But what is this I spy? You appear to be shaking, my poor little weak. Quite hard to read.
It's the visions. And, you know, the cold.
And not because of your fright.
I was able to protect my dear friend. I've nothing to be afraid of now.
Then you care nothing for your own life?
I've never been afforded a life. You may take it if you wish. You wouldn't be the only one.
Ah, yes, that is the fate, or what I have heard of being a servant, you poor dear.
Just looked in chat. Somebody wants to know if I'm streaming any longer.
Oh,
Oh no, he's listening to me. No. Man,
No.
you're streaming, asshole. I don't know, we go into like I don't know, we usually go until like 10:30 or sooner. Magdalena's red eye softened, and for a moment Micah wondered whether she could not see a trace of sympathy upon her captor's fair face. It lasted only a second, however, before it faded.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I am afraid I can't comply with your request. For the moment, that is. I will drain your blood in due course, but I have no desire to do so now. The bandits I encountered earlier made for more than satisfactory meal. I am so glutted, I do not think I could drink another drop of blood.
Then you mean to draw this farce out longer still?
I'll draw it out as long as I wish, until I am sufficiently thirsty. There seems little sense in overindulging. I'm sure that your blood would taste sweeter than bandits. but that only makes it more imperative that I save it you until I truly want to.
Oh.
Don't look into that. Don't look into
Oh.
that. Nah,
Oh.
bleh.
Oh. That was Micah's death Magdalena spoke of. There seems like something sultry, seductive even, in the way she stressed her words.
Okay,
Micah,
Graham.
who is unused to being wanted, found the blood pooling beneath her cheeks despite the chill which clung to her. How would it feel when Magdalena brought her lips to her neck? Would it hurt? I suppose she would feel a prickling sensation as Magdalena's teeth sank into her flesh and then...
Now, won't you come with me? You'll catch a death of cold, staying inside this dreary cell, and then you will be of no use to anybody. If I am to enjoy you properly,
Oh.
I would prefer to do so while your body is still warm.
Oh.
Excuse me? Pardon? Excuse me?
Oh. She's
Should
not,
I not
excuse
read
me?
into that either?
She's
I
not
need a
into
radiator.
necrophilia.
I'm pretty sure I have a screenshot of that line somewhere on my computer.
Oh my god. Micah looked at Magdalena, her blue eyes uncomprehending.
Are you really letting me go?
In the manner of speaking, yes. So I only will be transporting you from one prison to another. As your hostess, I don't believe that these quarters are wholly appropriate for a long-term stay, especially not for a fair maiden such as yourself. You'll be in my abode for several days yet, I fear, until I have further need of you. Until then, I would like you to live in some measure of comfort.
Unexpected. I didn't know you were so gracious and had so many things you didn't want me to pay attention to.
I can be. I have hidden depths, much like the forest that surrounds my humble abode. I do so hate to see you shiver so. And your skin is so pale, poor dear. You and I could almost be sisters. Why am I saying date? White skin may be fitting for us vampires, but it isn't for maidens. Oh wait, isn't so for maidens, not even the fairest in all the land. No, please follow me. I doubt you have any real wish to stay here, languishing unless you mean to make a further martyr of yourself.
No,
Micah bit her lower lip. She was loath to accept kindness from Magdalena, but she did raise a fair point. It was cold in her cell and miserable alongside it. If she remained there overnight, it did not seem impossible that her blood in her veins might actually freeze. Micah had already given up on her own life, but she didn't want to die as a stray dog wrapped in shivers.
if that is what you want from me, then I've no reason to refuse.
How very biddable you are. The words which come from your mouth might be stubborn, but it seems you've experience when it comes to following orders.
Of course I do. I'm a maid, like I said.
Ah, yes, so you did. That would explain your servility. Part of me was hoping you might refuse, so that I would be bidden to carry you. But this is fine too. It spares me the effort. Shall we?
Please, lead the way.
Micah dropped Magdalena a curtsy, this time taking her dirtied skirts between her fingers, the pads of which had turned pink from the cold. Magdalena smiled at the display.
For a prisoner, you're awfully cheeky.
then turned upon her heel after bidding Micah to follow. Naturally, Micah obeyed. She could see a little choice in the matter. Alright, I think that's where we're gonna have to cut it for today.
I see.
Gay.
Gay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey.
Damn, these bitches gay. Good for them.
Literally, the longest
Good for
scene
them.
is now over. By the way.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
of
Like, this was the
course.
long. Of
Wow.
course, the opening scene was the longest one.
Yes, it was. I forgot how long the fucking prison scene is because I literally saved in the middle of it and came back later to the game. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Oh my god.
Ah.
Yeah, I didn't know that part of it. 'Cause I never played this one before.
Yeah, I forgot how long this like scene is, but
Yeah.
it's like over and it actually opens through this.
Like,
There
you
are like
know.
4 characters you have not met yet. I don't
Oh
know.
my
wow.
God.
Oh.
I am sorry you didn't get to read anything tonight, Moji.
Nah, it's all good.
Okay.
I
I was
got to
kinda-
enjoy some vices.
I was kind of hoping that like the only other character we saw was the guy. So I was like hoping there'd be like a flashback sequence at some point.
Yeah, no, they don't do. Every doesn't fucking do flashbacks like that.
Oh my god.
Aw.
I thought the scene would actually be longer because I thought we'd actually go over a flashback of the cart. We kind of did, but it was much shorter than I remember.
Oh. Yeah, I was just hoping like, okay, well, I know there's another character. Maybe we'll get
There's
a
at
flashback
least
that like
3 other characters in this
Oh my
game.
God.
Ooh. Okay.
Genuinely, there's 3 other characters.
Okay.
It's so funny.
That's good. At least. Well, anyway, that was Cage of Roses.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. So
Pretty
far.
cool.
Yeah, pretty good
Yeah.
start.
Wahoo.
Harold, they're
Ooh.
lesbians.
Harold, they're lesbians.
Happy Pride, everybody.
Happy
Happy
Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, everyone.
As
Remember, vampires are 100%
Oh.
Happy
gay.
Pride.
Oh dear.
well, as I said at the beginning of, I think I said at the beginning. I think I just told you guys. I don't know.
I think
sure
you
if I said
did.
it.
I don't know.
But next week, no Otome Tuesday at all.
Oh.
Yeah, so we're gonna be skipping a week, and then after that, we're coming back with Sonic.
Sonic.
Did
Wow.
you know that Sonic's
Way
gonna
past
die?
cool.
Shit, really?
Maha.
Spoilers.
Oh no.
Nerd.
Oh,
What the
Pride
hell?
Month? Ah!
Sorry. I forget I just said that. Anyway, in 2 weeks we're starting the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog.
2
Nice.
weeks.
It's
That's
the
weird.
title. It must not mean anything. It's just the title
It
of
mustn't mean
the game.
anything.
It's a metaphor.
It's talking about the murder of my game series.
Yeah,
Sonic
exactly.
turned into
exactly.
a
Yeah,
werehog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens in it? I don't. I think
Who
Sonic's
knows?
gonna
I don't know,
live.
Mom.
Just the inkling. I think Sonic's gonna live. I sure hope Sonic's okay.
I'm sure he'll be fine, Mon. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Oh my god!
Oh.
Like Check's like banging down the door, just like, "Hey, do you need somebody else?" Oh my god!
Woo!
And remember, if anybody's accosting you for being who you are, especially during Pride, just use that Pride laser and fucking evaporate them.
Yeah,
That's what Sonic
Yeah.
says.
Maha. Guys, I can't believe Maha told everybody about the Pride laser. It's like a private thing, you know? It's like we don't want the streets
Honestly.
knowing we have the Pride laser.
Come
Yeah.
on, dude.
I had to use mine 2 days ago.
Whoa!
Woo!
Oh my god, she's using it. She's using the Pride laser. Well, anyway, we're gonna be reading Errol tonight because somebody was
Cool.
impatient, so I can't read Check tonight because you
I
know.
see.
Wow, somebody was
Yeah,
impatient.
someone was impatient. I was like,
Go back to
oh,
fucking screaming, asshole.
yeah. Didn't want to keep screaming, asshole.
Whoa.
Well, anyway, we're reading Check. Who's not Check? Errol, who's playing Trails of Cold Steel.
Woo!
Noise.
Ooh,
Yeah.
actually, yo.
He did want to, but what? It did need to not stream things. Wow.
Wow.
Imagine
not streaming.
not streaming.
It wouldn't be me other than 6 a.m. streams,
Apparently.
apparently.
Whoopsies.
Whoops.
Whoopsies. Anyway, we will see you in 2 weeks, not next week. We're not gonna be here next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks for Sonic the Hedgehog getting fucking murdered. Anyway, everyone say bye.
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 Goodbye.